And I know I was starting to say that she did also like to complain. uh, and, I remember we would go out to eat at a restaurant and she would complain about her meal. And that happened frequently. And I think that because that just sort of became a habit that's she always seemed to have something to complain about. So when you're complaining, like I said, I love my mom, but this was a bad habit that she had. And I do believe that being grateful for the things that we have in our lives just brings more to us, because the converse is true. What you focus on expands. I am Gloria Grace Rand, founder of The Love Method and author of the #1 Amazon bestseller, Live, Love, Engage: How to Stop Doubting Yourself and Start Being Yourself. In this podcast, we share practical advice from a spiritual perspective on how to live fully, love deeply, and engage authentically, so you can create a life and business with more impact, influence, and income. Welcome to Live, Love, Engage. Namaste. What are you grateful for today? Have you thought about being grateful for anything today? I hope you have. I'm grateful that you are here listening and or watching on YouTube. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. We are talking about the power of gratitude, finding grace in gratitude, just appreciating gratitude for gratitude's sake, all of that. And what that has to do with living life with purpose and living life fully and loving deeply and engaging authentically and all the wonderful things that we've been talking about on this podcast for, can you believe, the last 6 years? Yeah, it's hard to believe that it's been that long. I can't believe it. But anyway, we're going to get into all of that in just a second. But for those of you who seem to have just stumbled onto this podcast today, I want to welcome you and introduce myself. I am Gloria Grace. I am a confidence catalyst who empowers women over 50 through my love method and energy healing to boldly live life on their terms. And this is such a big topic for me, living life boldly and doing it with gratitude. Sorry, my eye just moved to, I have a vision board up on my wall, and in the middle of the vision board it says, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And that's really what it's all about, isn't it? I know life can be challenging sometimes. We all have our ups and downs when we're trying to grow our business, when we're trying to just live life. And especially this time of year, as I'm recording this, it is the middle of November, and it's actually my daughter's birthday today as well. Happy birthday, Allison. And this is the time of year where things just start getting really hectic, with holidays and end of the year planning. And we've talked about that on this podcast a little bit. And I know we've talked about gratitude as well, but since Thanksgiving is coming up in a couple of weeks, I figured let's talk about it again, because gratitude is the spice of life, is what is coming to me. Well, yeah, I guess you could say that. I think if you're not grateful for being alive, if you're not grateful for whatever you have, even being grateful for things you don't have, without that expression of gratitude in your life, life can be pretty lonely and unpleasant, even. And expressing gratitude, it just gives us more to be grateful for. I mean, plain and simple. And like I said, I know I probably talked about this when I was doing earlier this year. I was doing these Wisdom Wednesday videos on LinkedIn, and I know that I definitely talked about gratitude on there. So if I haven't talked about it on the podcast, you might want to check me out on LinkedIn and see if you can find those old recordings somewhere. I'm sure if you search my name and then you search gratitude, maybe search Wisdom Wednesday as well, I'm sure it'll come up. So why is gratitude so important? Because I'll tell you, for me, I mean, for one thing, it makes me feel good. I bet it makes you feel good too. When you start thinking about things that you are so happy that you have, or the people in your life that bring you joy, or the clients that you have, or maybe just being grateful that you get to get up in the morning and kiss your spouse, or you get to play with your cats. I have cats, or your dog. But just to be so appreciative of whatever it is that you have. It can wipe away any bad mood that you have, because let's face it, things happen in our lives that knock us off balance, or certainly, you pick up the phone and scroll through social media or go to your news website, and you're bound to look at something that could make your blood pressure rise. Well, that's no way to be, folks. We've been talking about for the last 6 years on this podcast about how to live fully, love deeply, and engage authentically. And gratitude plays a role in all of that. When you're not grateful for what you have, when you go around feeling miserable and complaining, and I know people like this. In fact, I was raised by someone like that. God rest her soul. My mom, she was a lovely lady in so many ways. She taught me how to read when I was 3 years old, for crying out loud. And she fostered in me a love of reading at an early age, because we used to go to the library, take out books all the time. She also fostered in me a good sense of justice and and being able to to know right from wrong, and the importance of taking care of people who don't have as much as we have. And I don't know if I've talked about this before, but I remember one Halloween, and maybe I was, I don't know, 7 or 8 years old, possibly. Maybe even a little bit older, probably, because I'd already spent several Halloweens going out and collecting candy, saying trick or treat, as we do here in the United States, and you get candy. Well, one year I remember that I didn't go trick or treating for candy. Instead, I went trick or treating for UNICEF, the organization that helps, children all over the world, helping them to be able to have enough food and I think medical treatment and things like that. I don't know exactly what their mission is, but I know that that's what I did. I remember carrying some little, probably a cardboard container or something, and going to my neighbors' houses and saying trick or treat for UNICEF. So, and I don't remember feeling like that was a burden. I was happy to do it. And I think, I think that's again, that's what I'm grateful for, is that my mom taught me that it's important to think about others who are less fortunate than you are. I could always have, we have plenty to eat, and she could always get me candy some other time. So I could do this that time instead. And I know I was starting to say that she did also like to complain. And, I remember we would go out to eat at a restaurant and she would complain about her meal. And that happened frequently. And I think that because that just sort of became a habit, she always seemed to have something to complain about. So, all right. So when you're complaining, like I said, I love my mom, but this was a bad habit that she had of, instead of being grateful that we had money to be able to go out to eat to a restaurant, that she had a job that supported us, she would complain instead. And I do believe that being grateful for the things that we have in our lives just brings more to us, because the converse is true. What you focus on expands. And if you want to focus on having things to be grateful for, then be grateful for what you have now. And even express gratitude for things that you don't have, because you can get into visualizing. And I've got cats in the background one had been sitting on a chair for a very long time, and the other cat decided it's my turn. So I'm grateful that I have cats that amuse me, even while I'm trying to record a podcast like this, but it's okay. Okay, where am I going with this? All right, let's focus. Sorry, I'm letting the cats distract me. I don't want to do that. Maybe I'll edit this out. I don't know, or maybe not. I know what I wanted to talk to you about gratitude. So this is going to be a shorter podcast than normal. I will tell you that right now, because I am grateful that I've had the past 6 years to do this podcast. And I want to let you know that we're going to be changing things up a little bit in 2026. So the podcast is going to get a new name, and we're just tweaking it a little bit. But I just wanted to just kind of plant that seed, because it's a new year. And as I said, I've been doing this for 6 years, which is a long time. And this podcast I started 10 years ago. And the original name of the podcast was Write, Sell, Succeed. And Write is spelled WRITE, because I was doing copywriting at the time as my primary business. And the intention of the podcast at that time was to use it to promote my online marketing services. And so I did that for probably about 9 months or so. And then life got in the way, as it does. And so that was when my sister was going through her cancer journey, and I decided to put the podcast on hold. And I didn't pick it up again. So that was in 2016. I took a break, picked it back up again in December of 2019. And I've been here every week since. And it's been a joy. And I'm so grateful that I've had this opportunity to speak to some amazing people. And in fact, in December, I'm going to treat you to a couple of encore episodes, something I haven't done in all of these 6 years of doing this podcast. I haven't done encore episodes, but I'm going to do that. I'm going to share with you again two of the most popular ones from this year. And I don't remember the guests at the moment, but I will share those with you in December as I start getting ready to ramp up to do the new podcast, because it's going to have a new open and new introduction and some new graphics. So it's going to look a little bit different, but I'll still be me, and I'm still essentially going to be talking about the same things, but I was going to ask some different questions of the guests that we have on. In fact, for one thing, I was working on that today. Actually, I was like coming up with some new questions to ask because I want to be fresh. I want to create something new, and I think that's part of gratitude as well, is being able to be grateful for what you have planned. and yeah, that's what I was starting to talk to you about a little bit ago too, about visualization and being grateful and sort of imagining what you want to have happen. And you can be grateful and just even use affirmations and say, I'm so grateful that this has happened, as if it already has happened, even if it hasn't. Boy, I bet I confused you right now. Let me give an example, because I've done this and I do this. So you could say, let's say, so today is, you know, we're in November. So you could say, let's say you want to achieve a goal by June of next year. And actually, you know what? I do have a goal. In fact, I'm going to mention that here now too, is that I'm going to be co-facilitating a grief retreat in June of 2026. So what I could do as an affirmation that also includes this bit of gratitude is that I could say, I am so happy and grateful that it is June 25th and we have a sold out retreat. I am so grateful that we've got 15 amazing women that have come with us to Black Mountain, North Carolina to take part in our Good Grief retreat. I am so grateful, because I will tell you that this really does work. That type of visualizing, using an affirmation, and then being grateful, even though it hasn't happened yet, but just imagining that it already has and being grateful for it. Because the last time I did a solo retreat, I did my Unplugged to Recharge retreat a couple of years ago. I did this every morning I would spend some time visualizing the end of the retreat, actually, and how I felt leaving. That's what I'm probably going to do for the Good Grief retreat too. I think I'm going to do that, because I would picture myself driving in my car, driving back home from the retreat, and just feeling so wonderful that everyone got so much value out of the retreat. And I just filled myself with such gratitude. And when the retreat happened and I was driving home that day, it dawned on me that, oh my gosh, this was exactly what I visualized. As I visualized myself driving down the freeway, just feeling so happy that the retreat was a success. So I'm going to do that again. And I'm going to encourage, I have co-facilitators. I'm not doing this retreat alone. I've got 3 other wonderful women who are going to be also working with me on that retreat, and I'm going to encourage them to do that too, to visualize it, so that we have 15 amazing people, probably women, but men, I don't think we're going to turn away men either, but probably women anyway, to come to this retreat. So I will be talking more about this at another time, and I'll give you links and all that good information when we start officially marketing. But you heard it here first. So it's coming. So mark your calendar now. It's June 25th to the 29th. It's a Thursday through a Monday. And we're going to be at the Lodge at the Light Center in Black Mountain, North Carolina. It's a beautiful place. In fact, I saw before I started recording the podcast today that Patricia, one of the other leaders of the retreat, sent me some pictures of. She sent me a picture of the lodge. So she's actually in Asheville right now with her daughter, and so they decided to go and take a look at the place, so in person, so that we could see it, because she, like me, lives in Florida. So, okay, let me see. Anything else I want to say about the importance of gratitude? Yeah. So it's it's been proven to really improve your mental health, your physical health, being grateful. And and I just remembered, yeah, I had a whole bunch of notes about this because I have a wonderful organization, networking group uh, called the Soulful Women's Network, and we were going to be meeting this week, but we had to wound up canceling it. But I had a whole bunch of notes. I just remembered that because we were going to talk about gratitude. So I'm going to see if I can find any of my notes about it. Yes. So I did want to here. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and share it with you today because, yeah, like I said, it is good for your health. There's been studies that have shown that people who wrote gratitude letters regularly displayed significantly better mental health than those who didn't. And in fact, brain scans suggest that gratitude might even have the power to rewire our brains for the better. Well, that makes perfect sense to me. And so you get better sleep and immunity, maybe even possibly reduced pain. I would think so too, because if you're feeling grateful, I think that it just really does. I think it raises those endorphins in your body, those good hormones. It's also good for building stronger social bonds and building resilience. And there's a couple different ways that you can build gratitude. I mean, for one thing, just treat yourself with kindness and do some sort of gratitude practice. I mean, I will do before I go to bed at night, I have a journal that I write in, and I will go write in that journal several things, like at least 3 things that I was grateful about that happened during the day. And it could be something as simple as I found a penny on the street today. I am so grateful that I found a penny today. Because, hey, even though I guess the United States is going to be phasing out the pennies, they're still legal tender, and I'm going to celebrate finding one because it's 1 cent more today than I had yesterday. That's abundance. That's prosperity. And who doesn't want more of that? Also, one of the things that, as we just allow ourselves to feel gratitude, there's a quote here from Unity Minister Eric Butterworth, who said that the flow of intelligence and love and peace and power come through us and manifest as us effectively. And he said the practice of gratitude gets us into a full of greatness consciousness. That's a pretty good reason to be grateful. And I think that's what it is. I think being grateful really does connect us with our higher power. It just strengthens that connection. And yeah, it's a really wonderful thing. So I encourage you to find ways that you can be grateful, or just do I want to say it that way? That's not quite what I want to say. How do I want to say it? Find things that you can be grateful for every day and appreciate them, and maybe make a list of people that you're grateful for. Maybe even write them a letter. And you can also write a letter to people who aren't around anymore. Maybe someone who is no longer in your life, either maybe you're just not friends with them anymore, or something happened, or maybe they're physically not in this world anymore. Their body, they have passed on. But you could still write them a letter and just say how grateful you are that they were in your life. Because I've been taught, and I've done this, that sometimes it's a good idea to like write letters to people who treated you badly, or who pissed you off, and that's a good way to be able to get all those emotions out, and you can then just release that anger. And it's a good part of a forgiveness practice. You don't necessarily mail this letter to them, but it's just really for you. But I think it would also be a good practice to write a letter to someone about what a positive difference they made in your life and all the wonderful things that they've done for you. And then you could, again, if they're here in the flesh, you might want to even just mail it to them. In fact, just out of the blue, send it to them. That would brighten their day, I tell you. I know I've received letters in the past sometimes from people who thanked me for something, and it just makes you feel so good. And you know what's also good about that is when you do that, you're feeling good, you're feeling grateful. And so about this person and what they did, and so you send them that message, and now they're going to feel grateful for receiving this and knowing that they feel appreciated, and then they're probably going to want to then pass that on to someone else. It's not a great talk about paying it forward. Paying gratitude forward would be a wonderful thing to do. And as I said, you could also write this letter to someone who's not here anymore, because I believe even though they may not be physically here, their spirit still lives on. And I'm sure they would appreciate hearing from you anyway. Even if they're not here to actually physically read that letter, they're gonna feel your vibe. And I think it's gonna really pay off for you, again, making you feel good. And who knows what good will come of that. So I encourage you to do that today, and also release stuff that doesn't serve you anymore. I'm actually going to spend some time doing that. I had a thought this morning that I've been holding on to some old letters and things that I don't think my kids really care about, and it's old stuff that I don't really need to hold on to anymore either. So just that's a thought too. So I also want to, before we close out the podcast today, is I wanted to do, we're going to do two things. The first thing is I want to share with you about an upcoming online workshop that I have. It's just a 90-minute workshop, and it's called Awakening Your Inner Light. And during this workshop, I am going to be essentially teaching you the love method, what I call my love method, which stands for let go and let God, open your heart to receive, value your uniqueness, and embrace your divinity. And so we're going to do some experiential exercises to really bring home how these concepts can really help you to, again, live fully and love deeply and engage authentically, but most of all, to love yourself, to really be comfortable with who you are. And so I encourage you, it's going to be on Thursday, November 20th, 2025. It's at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So you can go to bit.ly/inner light, LIGHT 2025, and you can register. I'll have it in the show notes as well. But I would love to see you there. Because, I did this workshop in person a few weeks ago, and it was just really wonderful, and everyone participated, and we did some exercises, we paired up, we journaled, and it was just really, really, really powerful. And I figured I want to do it online as well. So that's my plan. So again, you go to bit.ly/inner light 2025, and you can get all the information there. We're doing it on Zoom, and you can sign up and register for that. And I encourage you to do that and show up, because I'm not going to record it, because it's not really something that you can go back to and do. I might record just the teaching part of it, but not the exercises. Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, maybe that's what I'll do. I'll record the teaching part, but not the exercises, because they'll be in breakout rooms. So, okay, one last thing before we go today. Oh, and I also want to encourage you to subscribe to Live, Love, Engage, even though I know the name is going to be changing. But still, I encourage you to subscribe, because that way you will be notified when the change comes through. And then you can still decide then, okay, well, maybe it's not for me, or maybe it is. We'll see. But anyway, as I like to do when I do these solo episodes, is I love to be able to share a light language message with you. And light message is, it's an interdimensional form of communication. I never quite know what it's going to sound like when it comes through. Sometimes I speak, sometimes I sing, but it's a language that speaks to the heart. Your heart can feel it, and your soul can resonate with it, even though you may not be able to translate it necessarily. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. But I encourage you to have an open mind and an open heart, and allow what comes through to be for your soul's highest good, and fill you with gratitude. So if you are listening to this podcast right now while you are driving, I would encourage you to pause this and come back and listen to it sometime when you can be in a quiet room and you can just be still, close your eyes, and listen to it. So that's what I'm going to do, is I'm setting the intention that the message that I share will be for your soul's highest good and the highest good of all concerned. Sanukuyata sohoe akoya no koyote sanure koho akuya no kuse hanakaya tuyate konna o anoinka so shanakaria punga hare no korea no ku kisho no kueta kala yato dimma chinshanwe kutata liano kuyapa nakeata sanshiro no kuyaba no kuebe kwaleata no kuishikana trabatu koa mane kayato kunga le ta shiangore bata kuriyato kuyama na kuwapa kaya no kuyama no kuyata shanno kuyapa kore kaliyato kunga Sakayono kuama kaye, samna kare, koya punka, tetetundu shikiyapa. Koreata, hamakui, koyano koyapa, shakshin no koshin, dotum batim, asakashan no karepitinka, upana ke, sanoyapa, kwaliata. Okay. I hope you received that with the love that it was intended. And I'm so grateful that I have been blessed with the ability to do this, and that I get to share it with you. And I intend in 2026 to figure out a way to be able to have these messages go out on other platforms too, because it's good stuff and I want more people to hear it. So I have to work on that. One thing at a time, I'm grateful. Again, I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful I have this opportunity to be with you each week. And I'm just so grateful for everyone who listens to this podcast. And I'm just grateful. There we go. I'm just grateful. And I encourage you to go out and be grateful as well. And one way that you could be grateful, that you can express your gratitude, I should say, for the podcast, is to actually leave a review on Apple. That would be really amazing. And if you happen to watch this on YouTube, leave me a comment on the YouTube channel as well on this particular video. So that would be wonderful, and I would be very grateful for that. So until next time, I encourage you to go out and live fully, love deeply, and engage authentically.